All right, and you ready for news story number 2 now? That news belongs to Jarrah White. You might remember him. He's done some good work in the area of Apollo hoax footage and the idea that we did not go to the moon. So I've always liked the kid until today. He had a huge objection to anybody questioning SpaceX and their landings. Very films that I'll be using in a little bit to show you why the SpaceX launch of that CRS-8 was a complete and total fraud. So he keeps looking, and now we've got the drone card out there. And then, of all people, Jarrah White makes the comment on the top of this video, "Oh dear, look at that, no camera cut. Guess SpaceX is not FakeX after all." Oh no, you're wrong, it is. So, is that all it takes from you, Jarrah? Is that it? Just a video of the landing and you know it must be true? Well then, I have this for you. Watch that and explain how it works.
Forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. Forward, drift.
Again, if it was just one time that we got this peekaboo landing, that's one thing. But every single landing, SpaceX proves this hoax.
We're not expecting a successful attempt at this time around,
But we're
learning, we're always hoping. And you're hearing a cheer right now because it's coming into the drone ship. We will show you what you can right there, and that's a view from our drone ship in the middle.
So, as is the norm, we get the interrupted feed, and you'll also notice the lights are on and very bright. And then all of a sudden there'll be a flash and abracadabra, the rocket landing.
And it looks like we have
Yep, it's all nothing more than a magic trick. So I decided to have a little fun with it as well. So here's my version of the SpaceX landing on the drone. Of course I still hate you, you filthy liars.
It's true. So when the rocket descends onto the drone ship, it starts to shake, and the satellite that's pointing up to communicate, or the satellite dish that's pointing up, oh, we're just getting word that the landing burn's beginning. Focus your attention, and we'll see if we can see it.
It looks like we could see the exhaust gases just in the top of the frame.
It's as though things have frozen, which, like we said, this speed, there's no Wi-Fi out in the Atlantic Ocean yet. So we can't bring you a status update, unfortunately. We would love to know as much as you.
So that good orbit is the initial stage. It's that initial low Earth orbit section before the second stage begins a second burn to turn that orbit from a circular.
So either you are stupid, that's number one, or number two, you, sir, are crushing hard on Elon Musk. And obviously, you aren't thinking straight the last 2 days. My guess is because he hasn't been there stroking your hair as you fall asleep in his lap. Well, after this, let's see if you admit that you were wrong and that you're sorry. Although, we know that's going to be real tough and probably not going to happen, since we all know you'd have to get Elon's permission, since clearly All right, so let's look at some works of this sellout fanboy. You'll see here on his little post, he said, I challenge all flat earthers and space travel deniers, please provide a time code where the raw footage, the video on the right, cuts or glitches up or blacks out. Because that means that it's fake. If it cuts or glitches, it's fake. If it doesn't, it's real. That's the kind of research these people are doing. Good luck to you if you're still following him after this video. Now let's go ahead and call him out for being the liar that he is. You'll see here he's talking about, if you're going to claim it was played in reverse, talking about the landing of the rocket, please explain why the smoke is not getting sucked back into the engines, as it would do if the footage was indeed played backwards. And if you're going to claim it's all CGI, please explain how thousands of civilians in Cape Canaveral saw these rockets take off and land with their own eyes. Sorry. The thing landed on a barge in the middle of the ocean. 0 people saw it with their own eyes. That's a lie.
A bit earlier this week, I got a tweet from a viewer with a suggestion that I take a look at the personal blog of a photographer who had captured some amazing images of the SpaceX Falcon 9 landing. Thankfully for us, that photographer, Zach Grither, is here to tell us how he created these works of art on his website. Welcome, Zach.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for coming on. So you took these photos on the evening of May 6th. Tell us what was so important about this particular landing.
It was the first successful night landing on their platform out at sea. So it's one of those really cool once-in-a-lifetime events that we don't really ever get to see.
And so what were you doing out there?
I was just out shooting. I had no idea. Where I was at was Hunting Island State Park, and it's really difficult to get a campground or campsite at the campground there, and because it's one of the darker places in the southeast. And I was stuck into doing a Thursday, Friday night kind of thing, and I wasn't really happy about it, but I decided to do it anyways. So I just went there Thursday night, took a 3-hour nap, then got up about midnight and went out and started shooting. And I was finishing up on this one composition on a tree, and I saw out in the corner of my eye something go up, and it ended up being something pretty cool.
So tell us a little bit about the gear that you were using.
I have a Sony A7 R2, and it's a Zeiss Otis 28mm f1.4 lens. So it's probably the the best gear I could come up with to shoot night sky at this point.
And so,
you got some amazing shots. They were really, really very beautiful.
Thank you.
And yes, first night landing, but also the first landing on 3 engines. So at least you didn't get quite the full burn that the full engines would have gone, but it's
Sure.
it worked beautifully. You must have been thrilled.
I was. I mean, there was so much excitement. I think didn't even know what was going on. I just knew that as I saw it kind of floating through the sky, which you can't really see the contrail at night. You just kind of see a dot kind of floating along the sky. So when I started shooting again, I just kind of sat there and watched. I didn't really know what to think. And as it went off, I just kind of excitedly just grabbed my tripod and walked away, thinking it was awesome. But normally in that situation, I would have done a little bit more on my composition. I would have gotten some more detail and some things. So in the end, the end product wasn't the greatest for me, but the overall shot still is 1 in a million. So can't complain.
Zero people saw it with their own eyes. That's a lie. Next line. And while you're at it, please explain why we have amateur video footage recorded by said civilians clearly showing the Falcon 9 touchdown. We have 0 amateur videos of the video in question.
First stage coming back to SpaceX. Landing burn has started. SpaceX landing site 1. There are the twin sonic booms. Landing legs up deployed. Stage 1 touchdown confirmed. Landing operators moving 11.1 100 on recovery net.
The most magnificent thing.
It's still standing. Cool. Stage 1 shut down.
And then he shows here, oh dear, look at that, no camera cut. Guess SpaceX is not FakeX after all. Because as everyone knows, again, that's the only way that we find out if people are fake or not, is by whether or not the camera cuts. Wake up, dude. And just because one little video might show them actually landing something doesn't make the entire operation on the up and up. So, as is the norm, we get the interrupted feed, and you'll also notice the lights are on and very bright, and then all of a sudden there'll be a flash and abracadabra, the rocket landing, because as everyone knows, again, that's the only way that we find out if people are fake or not, is by whether or not the camera cuts. Wake up, dude. So, as is the norm, we get the interrupted feed, and you'll also notice the lights are on and very bright, and then all of a sudden there'll be a flash and abracadabra, the rocket landing, and just because one little video might show them actually landing something doesn't make the entire operation on the up and up. So, as is the norm, we get the interrupted feed, and you'll also notice the lights are on and very bright, and then all of a sudden there'll be a flash and abracadabra, the rocket landing, And just because one little video might show them actually landing something doesn't make the entire operation on the up and up. All right, time to prove this as the nonsense hoax it is. So Jarrah, I unsubbed you. I only follow good researchers, not fanboys who can't even do basic research. So let me show you the fakery in the landings, and then people can unfollow Jarrah like I did. First up, we are watching two different views of the rocket. This is the rocket view as it's coming down, and the other one's the helicopter view. All right, so it's very important that you realize what we're looking at here. Again, the view on the left is pointed down towards the rocket, and the view on the right, the rocket will come in from the right part of your screen. Now, think about this. The rocket on the right side, on the bottom right, is coming in and then traveling across the drone ship, landing on the far end. Then look at the rocket cam, and you'll notice that the rocket comes in and lands on the near side. So I'm sure you already see the point I'm trying to make here. This red dotted line represents the camera view from the rocket as it enters and lands closest to the edge it was traveling towards, while the green line in the last video came in from out yonder, crossed over the middle X, and also ended up in that same spot. And the blue line represents the next video that you see, where coming in that direction off one of the shorter ends was another rocket. Absolutely impossible. They're all different. Whether it's CGI, whether it's smoke and mirrors, whether it's helium balloons, doesn't matter. What does matter is Jarrah, you're dead wrong.
the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and bought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whenever they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh,
Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, this is a live shot of the hatchway in between the Harmony node on board the International Space Station and the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, which would be on the other side. This is Mission Control Houston. Official hatch opening time for the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, 4:53 a.m. Central Time. So the Expedition 31 crew getting their first look inside this brand new spacecraft that arrived at the space station yesterday. Don Pettit giving the thumbs up there, as well as the rest of the crew, signaling everything looks good. Pettit is being assisted by Oleg Kononenko and Andrei Kuipers. Kuipers was inside the cupola yesterday as Pettit was using the robotic arm to reach out and grab onto Dragon and install it Joe Acaba, even though he's been up there for a few days, also been lending a helping hand, getting the hatchways ready between the space station and Dragon. There's a look inside Dragon from the camera that's been installed there. You get a sense of the space of this new vehicle. Opening up the hatches of a brand new vehicle is a step-by-step process for the crew. It's not like they can just open up the door and keep moving. They have several different things they've got to do. They've got to install some what are called IMV. This is intermodule ventilation, basically air ducts in between Dragon and the space station. This is done for every vehicle, just to make sure that the air gets mixed up as expected, that there's no pockets of carbon dioxide that may gather inside one section. They also test out the environment inside Dragon to make sure that nothing's floating around or any sort of toxic gases are inside of there. Once they verify all of this, it'll take just a few minutes and they'll be able to take their masks and their goggles off. With Don Pettit, they're inspecting the hatchway in between Dragon and the space station just to make sure that it fared well.
1. На связи. Антон, ну вы же, наверное, знаете, люк в Драгон открыт, забор и проб воздуха выполнен. Без происшествий, конечно, не обошлось. Все это удивительно. Как мы так делаем трубка для забора воздуха, гайка вывернулась, а сама пробка металлическая, которая в гайке внутри, она осталась. Я первый раз с таким сталкиваюсь. Пришлось с помощью плоскогубца выворачивать. Дон все это держал, чтобы не потерять. Я брал пробу воздуха, потом все это дело обратной последовательностью выворачивать.
Station Houston, space to ground 2 for Dragon ingress.
Aero 2?
Hey, Andre, great job with the hatch open and ingress. It's great to see you guys inside Dragon. Looks great. We're just confirming that you're complete with the IMV install, that both ends are connected through step 8.10.
It's affirmative?
Okay, affirmative. You're done through 8.10, so we are ready for you guys to egress and take the 20-minute wait time.
Copy that.
This is Mission Control Houston, the team here about to open up the valve. We'll start to stir the air between Dragon and the space station.
and that space is a simulation. It's fake. It's being used to enslave humanity, and people like Jarrah White, who think they're awake, can't see past their own nose.
Make